school. I grew up in Altadena, but I went to most of the schools in Altadena and Pasadena area. Growing up in Pasadena, it was a really good time. I was really introverted and shy, but it was just really peaceful and just fun. It just reminds me of family and friends. Growing up on West Pine Street, it was just full of just so many like people and characters, like figures in the community, just people that were always just there for you. And it was just a good time. I remember just happiness. People used to tease us and like, oh, you guys are like the Huxtables or the Brady Bunch, you know, but it was just a good time growing up there. I have a lot of friends still that I've known probably since like 3rd grade or 5th grade, yeah. Pasadena High School.
So Bulldogs.
Like, yes, a Bulldog. I was diagnosed with stage 3 colorectal cancer, and it's pretty much just like colon-rectal cancer. I was diagnosed, I believe, the end of March 2015.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, but it was a process. Before that, I kind of knew, or I thought something was wrong probably a while ago. But I had like little tiny symptoms, you know, very subtle. You know, you really probably wouldn't know anything was wrong. At least I didn't. I kind of thought in the back of my mind that something could be wrong, but I wasn't sure. What happened was, I believe, Christmas, December 2014, I was at my parents' house, and I tried to go to the bathroom, and pretty much all shades of red, like 3-4 shades of different colored blood was in the toilet, in flesh. And it was coming from the other area, not in the, you know, it was from, you know, me trying to have a bowel movement. And that scared me. I really felt like something was wrong, but I still was in denial and I didn't want to think about it. So then God kept giving me signs left and right. I mean, every time I got in the car, I would hear City of Hope cancer treatment. I was like, no, thank you, turn the radio off. And then I would literally look at somebody's television. It would be City of Hope cancer treatment. I'm like, okay, Lord, like, no, thank you. Like, no, that's not it. But then I had found out, sadly, through another Pasadena, I think, page that my friend created from high school, Simona Davis. I saw another friend had a GoFundMe, and her name is Shay Bonwell Douglas, and she had colon cancer. So I saw her GoFundMe, and in my heart that resonated, and I knew God was showing me like there's something wrong. And so I knew that I was like, okay, God. So I saw her GoFundMe, and I started communicating with her husband. And unfortunately, she passed away a few months ago, and I went to her funeral. But it helped me by seeing what she was going through. It forced me to finally go to emergency at Huntington Hospital in Pasadena. And when I went, initially they just did like a regular like ultrasound of my abdomen and blood work. They said, oh, you're okay, nothing's wrong with you, you're too young, you're fine. And so I knew in my heart something was wrong. I knew that was not, it wasn't okay. And so I demanded pretty much from my doctors, like, look, please appease me. You need to give me a colonoscopy. And that was a process, because I kept getting told, you're too young. And that bothered me. I'm like, I'm not 50 years old, but you need to, it doesn't matter how old I am. You know, and so I finally got a colonoscopy. And when I did, I remember waking up, it was like surreal. Halfway, like I think it was almost over in the colonoscopy, and I remember looking at the wall, or whatever it was, the pictures, and I remember seeing some images that didn't look good. So when they wheeled me out, my mom and my brother were there with me. And I remember looking, and the doctor came back like, I have bad news. But for whatever reason, I was waiting for him to say, I'm just kidding. And I was like, and I was looking at him like, what do you mean? I was still groggy. He was like, well, we found a malignant mass. And that means, you know, it probably is cancerous. But he said, we'll do a biopsy and we'll see what happens. So then from there, it was like one thing after another, like so many doctor's appointments back to back. And then they still hadn't told me anything. And then all of a sudden I got a paper in the mail saying, you're approved for surgery. I said, how am I approved for surgery when no one's told me anything? I fell apart. I was like, are you serious? Like what? And so I was nervous. So one of my best friends went with me to the doctor. We put my parents and brother on speakerphone, and he was asking me, do you smoke? Do you drink? And I was like, no, asking me all these questions. Do you work where chemicals are? All these questions. I was like, please, just stop beating around the bush. Just please tell me. And he said, you have stage 3 colorectal cancer. I actually looked like the wall, like you're not talking to me. And it took a minute. And it just I kind of lost it for a minute, and I just started sobbing out loud. I just felt like it was a death sentence. I just was like, Lord, like, I've already been through so much. Sorry, I'm getting emotional, but I was like, man, I felt like the wind was knocked out of me. Like, I've been through a lot of adversity in my life. I've been through a lot, and I just felt like, no, you know, Lord, no. But I can say, though, by God's grace, that I'm here, and I know that I'm going to survive. And God's been helping me through this whole process. After I found out, it's been so many doctor's appointments, so many things back to back. And I remember thinking, I can't do this, I'm not strong enough. But basically, God's been giving me strength, you know, and there's been so many people, so much love, so much outpour of like people just helping me and just trying to get the word out. And I've been stronger because I've been advocating for people and advocating for myself. Through the process of me advocating for me, I've helped other people, which helps me. I created a page called My Eternal Hope on Facebook. I'm sharing my journey. So many people have told me that I'm an inspiration to them, which helps me. And I've had people question me. They're too embarrassed themselves to talk about it. So they've asked me questions. So many people have gotten, like, I think thousands of people have gotten their colonoscopies, you know, and because I've been trying to bring more awareness, because the doctors will tell you you're not 50 or 55, therefore we're not going to test you. My doctor said because I just turned 42, anybody in my immediate family or anyone needs to get checked, probably when they're like in their 20s and 30s. And I've found out that so many people from the age of probably 20 to maybe 40, 45 or so are getting diagnosed late in the game, probably around, you know, stage 3 or stage 4, which is not good, because when you're almost at stage 4, it's inoperable. Or they'll try, but they'll pretty much put you on hospice. So thank God they found it at stage 3. And I actually went and I did, I think, 28 rounds of radiation right away, and I did 38 days of low-dose chemo where I had a pump attached to my port. I had a surgery to put this in my chest, and we waited for like another month or so, and then I had my surgery on September 3rd, and I was hospitalized until the 15th of September, the day before my birthday, and I got out. But they weren't sure if I was going to need an ileostomy bag, until they did the surgery, and I do. So I have a temporary bag. And what they're going to do is I'm going to have, after I fully heal, probably another week or so, I'll probably start 4.5 more months of chemo, a more aggressive chemo, which I'm a little afraid of. I'm going to do that for 4.5 months, and after that, when I heal, they'll do another surgery to reverse the process of the bag, the stomach. But it's kind of scary because my mom, sister, my aunt died at 44 of breast cancer, and I have a lot of family members that have breast cancer, first cousins, and some that have passed away. So that kind of scares me, but I've been strong. Sorry. I've been pretty strong through the process. I've been trying to just keep everything positive. Just what doesn't kill you makes you stronger, definitely. I definitely feel that I'm moving into my purpose. I know that I've always been supposed to help people, and I'm definitely going to write a book about this journey. And it is definitely something that makes me just want to take life by the horns and just like really live, like do the things that you always put off. You know, why put them off? Because life is too short, and just be happy. You know, life is too short to just hold grudges or be angry. And I've always been a happy person, but then I did spend almost the last 20 years being depressed. I made the wrong choices in life early on, when I was probably 18 years old, and I probably made poor choices for like 4 or 5 years, which impacted my life for almost 20 years. I ended up doing an interview with Hanif R. Jordan on depression in January, and I talked about trying to bring awareness to that. And then I was like, you know, I felt like I was healed from that, and I was moving forward and doing other things in my life. You know, I started doing my CNA classes. I work with kids with autism and just trying to do more, maybe becoming a nurse. And then I got hit with boom, you have cancer. And I thought, oh, I'm going to die. But now I'm like, no, I'm not. In my heart, I thought I'm going to be fine. This is just a journey I'm going on, and I'm going to be okay. It was really tough. Like I said, it's really hard still for my mom. She, my aunt that passed away, they were really close. And she was only 44 when she died. And it's tough for my mom when I have gone for chemo. They used to refill my pump like once a week, she couldn't really be in there with me. It was really difficult. And now moving forward, I'm going to have to be there 4 hours each time I go and sit there attached to the IV. So that's going to be difficult. And I do have some friends willing to maybe come step in, but it's going to be tough. And I'm not going to lie, I'll think about not wanting to eat and throwing up and all that stuff like that. But I'm here, and I know that I'm going to make it. You know, if I give up on me, who else is going to, you know, do it for me? I mean, people can pray all they want and for me, but if I give up and I don't eat and I don't drink, I won't survive. But I tell myself I have to survive, and I will survive, and I will, you know, by God's grace and everyone else helping me, and I will. It's been tough, and in the beginning also, for several months I didn't have any income. My last day of work was April 22nd of this year. I barely just got some unemployment. No, not unemployment, I'm sorry, disability. But even that's not enough. I'm behind on my rent. I'm behind on several bills. My car's barely working. So I did set up a GoFundMe, and it's www.gofundme.com/Sharo, S-H-A-R-O, Marie, M-A-R-I-E. And then also I've been lucky enough where I had a couple of fundraising events. I have some friends at work that did an event at a bar for me that helped. Someone else did a fundraising gift basket raffle. And actually I have a comedian friend that's a co-worker who's going to do an event at a comedy place on November 14th. So I can let you guys know that information too as well. But so just different fundraiser events or just anything. And I know people pray, which is always welcome. Right. Prayers are always welcome. But just try to bring awareness. That makes me happy. For me, bringing more awareness to help save somebody else's life, that's what, for me, giving back is all about. And it's important to bring awareness, and some people get embarrassed. Most people get embarrassed, and some people actually, some of my friends are like, don't talk about that. I'm like, I'm sorry, but if you have blood in your stool and your stools are thinner, you need to go get help. And like I said, by the time you start having symptoms like I did, my stomach was bloated, I was having pain, sharp pains in my stomach. By then, it's almost too late. You're at stage 3 or stage 4. But I remember thinking back years ago, gradually my stools were like less frequent, they were thinner and a little bit of blood. But I was thinking, oh, people were like, oh, you're probably constipated or have irritable bowel syndrome or hemorrhoids. People don't like to talk about that, it's embarrassing. But I was like, you need to, if it's going to save your life, I'm going to tell you, and I'm not going to be embarrassed, I'm going to be transparent. When I was 18, a lot of traumatic things happened to me, and I ended up having an abortion at an early age, and I was really distraught, and that sent me on a downward spiral of despair and just made wrong choices for like 4 or 5 years. But during that time, I remember the song by Mariah Carey, Hero, kept me going at that time at 18 years old. And all these years, I really didn't hear that song anymore, all those years. But let me tell you how God is. The day that my parents were taking me for my first day for chemo and radiation, I was terrified. I don't want to cry, I was terrified. And I was so terrified, and I remember sitting in the back seat of the car, and I was like, Lord, I don't know if I can do this. Am I going to be strong enough? Will my body take it? And do you know what song came on the radio? That song, Hero by Mariah Carey. And I was like, oh my gosh, okay, Lord, you hear me? Because that's the same song almost 20 years before that helped me. So, you know, and then also, I don't know if you guys know that show Empire. That show Empire. Do you know that song, Conquer? Do you know when I first got diagnosed, I literally played that song 1,000,000 times. Whenever I drove to the store, anywhere in the car, I played it. It had to resonate with me because I feel like God doesn't always use gospel songs. He uses any songs. Yeah. And that song, it just resonated with me. Even if I didn't listen to the words all the time, I just had to just play it in the background to just strengthen me. I had to just go, okay, you know, I'm a conqueror and I'm not going to accept defeat. I will not live on my knees. I got to stand tall. I have to, because I felt like if I had to get that song in my spirit to survive, because I felt like if I didn't get it in my spirit, I'd break down and just be like I'm about to die. So I had to be strong. So that song really helped me. And I definitely think a lot of it is God, definitely, for sure. And I feel stronger and I feel empowered by it, and just I feel really good. You know? But when I say I made the wrong choices, I really made the wrong choices. When I was 18, I had an abortion, and I was tricked in a way by my ex-boyfriend, and he had someone else pregnant. And like I said, we grew up in a household that was like the Brady Bunch, like the Hustables, and we grew up in my twin sister and I and my brother, and I just felt shattered and broken. And I didn't want to live or die, and that's a really bad place to be.
Yeah.
So I went to Vegas. And I ended up stripping and doing all these horrible things, embarrassed my family, embarrassed myself, and I didn't care if I lived or died. During those times too, God saved me, without a shadow of a doubt. God saved me many times. You know, there are times where I was about to knock on a door to go into a place, and God clearly said to me, and of course at the time I didn't listen, don't go in there. They're going to try to rob you and rape you or blah, 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 and kill you. What did I do? Go in there. I didn't get raped that time, but I was robbed, and I had a gun in my head. I had a gun in my stomach. There's a lot of situations where I know God clearly saved me. And for those reasons, I know this is all part of the journey. So first, I'm going to write a book about my journey about the cancer, and then I'm going to write my life story. You know, but it's just I know all of it was leading up for a greater purpose towards the end. You know, of course I don't want the cancer, but you know, I know that it's all for God to get the glory in the end.
Shame.
I was embarrassed for 20 years, and that's why I was depressed, and I don't care anymore because I'm going to be transparent. It's going to help somebody else.
Right.
Yeah.
So spiritually, and I mean I'm already into it. I don't know if I told you that, but any kind of time you had any kind of disease in your body.
I believe it was from depression.
Right, there you go.
And then also, I believe part of it was the 20 years of holding all the hurt, the pain inside.
There you go.
And also my eating habits. I love fruits and vegetables, but I'm sure I didn't get 7 to 10 servings a day. And I didn't know for years I've had a sluggish system anyway. So on top of me having a sluggish system, me not getting the 7 to 10, you know, amounts of fruits and vegetables and not enough liquids, all that. And then being depressed and holding all that shame and depression and hurt all those years inside of me for 20 years, it had to come out and manifest some kind of way. And so that's all going to tie into me coming my healing and bringing it out about everything. And along the way, I've met so many new friends. One of my friends, she makes dolls. She makes them for breast cancer, colon cancer. So her name is Sharonda Williams. She made this, and this is one of my hospital buddies. But yeah, you know, it's just a journey, and I've just been so grateful. I've been like just reading just different spiritual books, and I have joined so many like groups with women online, just so much love. And in the hospital, so many people came. They showed me so much love and support, and I still have the continued support, and I'm just so thankful that God's put more people. I felt like I wasn't loved. I felt so ashamed for almost 20 years, and I felt like I didn't have the love, and just my self-condemnation was so bad that I didn't think that I was going to do anything in my life. But I also know that I have so much talent. I love to draw and paint too. This is not one of my best things, but I do this for my mom, paint for my mom. But I love to draw and paint. I love to write poetry. I love working with kids, and I have a lot of talent, and I never really used it. So that was one of my things too. Like, I was like, Lord, you gave me all this talent, but I've never really used it. And I love people, but I was always shy or thought I wasn't good enough to do it. But now I have the courage to do it, you know. So yeah, basically a lot of times in families it's like taboo. You don't want to discuss or talk about mental illness or you know, depression or things that you've gone through. I remember I was just like kind of flying solo, not knowing really what to do because it's not something you really openly talk about. But I realized that I've dealt with post-traumatic stress disorder and just different things for the last probably 20 years. I was just trying my best to survive on my own. And I think towards last year I did end up going to see a doctor, a psychiatrist, and I did take a little bit of medicine for like a few months, and then I just stopped on my own because I felt like God was dealing with me, and I was able just to stop taking the medication in January. But a lot of people don't talk about it, and it's hard to bridge that gap because I have a lot of friends and family that do suffer from bipolar or depression or just other mental illnesses, and you don't want to talk about it because it's something you don't want to discuss and you don't want to admit. I think by admitting it, it's almost like showing weakness. But but you need to get those barriers down and discuss those weaknesses to bring strength to your family and bring some kind of closeness. And I know sometimes that parents and kids don't know how to connect in that sense, or they want to help. Parents, you want to help your kids. Of course, my parents, they've always wanted to help me, but they didn't know how. and it's not something you want to really talk about. It's awkward. You want to help, but you're like, what are the tools to help? And then you don't want to talk about it, so you just deal with other everyday things, and you just kind of brush it under the rug. I definitely think in the black community it is, and a lot of people don't talk about it, and that's why you see sometimes in the news, you see all the people, like a lot of times black men are getting shot and killed, or other women too, and what happens later, you find out they're suffering from some kind of mental illness, whether it be depression or post-traumatic stress or anything, bipolar or anything, and they suffer, and a lot of times people suffer in silence, and for almost 20 years I suffered in silence. And I had a lot of self-condemnation of the wrong choices I've made, from being raped several times, from making the wrong choices that I did in Vegas, and putting myself in danger, and almost getting killed several times, and being kidnapped. Those things are horrific, and to this day I still haven't discussed details with a lot of people, but like I said, I'm going to write a book about my journey, the cancer journey, and after that I will finally probably write my life story. Yes, it all started, people may think it's something that's not a big deal, but for me it was a big deal. When I was 18 I had an abortion, but for me I wanted to get married and have that family, and I wanted to be a virgin when I got married, and I believed in that fairy tale of being married and having that wholesome family, and I was shattered. I remember not eating probably or drinking almost for a week, and I just wanted to die. I felt like just throw a straitjacket on me and put me away. I didn't care if I lived or died, and that's a horrible place to feel. And to not care about anything and care your value, I made so many bad choices that I didn't care anymore. And that's a horrible way to feel. I don't want anybody to feel that way. And so my hope is that by me speaking out, by me having courage, and by me trying to advocate for others and be a role model, or to just do any kind of public speaking or help others, I feel like it'll help people. And I'm definitely stronger because I never could look at people in the eyes. I was so introverted, so shy. That's forced me to become a stronger person. And I definitely think that through this journey, God has healed me and is continuing to heal me. And I know that there are great things to come. When I was in Vegas, I used to drink a lot. I'm not a drinker. I did try, by the grace of God, I'm still here. Like I said, I never tried needles, but I did try drugs when I was out there. I'm not going to lie. Like I said, I'm being transparent. I tried different sorts of drugs that people gave me. And by the grace of God, I'm here and I'm not addicted. And I know it's God because, some people can try, different drugs like ecstasy or cocaine, sniffing lines, whatever, and you can get addicted to them one time. But by the grace of God, I was never addicted by anything. I love chocolate and coffee, so I know that a little addiction could be there. But, by God's grace alone, I'm here today. All the prayers from my family, all the prayers from, from me, myself too. And I know God had a plan for me. I actually remember early on in life, you may not believe this, I probably was maybe between the ages of 8 and 10. I actually kind of saw my life a little bit of my journey I was going to take. The only way I can describe it now is like kind of having like one of those cartoon like thought bubbles, and I actually saw a silhouette of a sexy woman dancing as a young child, and I was like, what is that, Laura? Like, no, but I knew that was me. But I was like, there's no way, because I was like too, innocent and pure, and there's no way I would ever associate myself. Like, I look down on that kind of stuff. I would never do anything like that. But in that little thought bubble, or little whatever you want to call it, dream bubble, whatever, I saw myself being some kind of sex symbol, some kind of something. I knew it was something to do as an adult with being sexy or whatever. But in that journey, I saw myself, but I would come full circle. I would fall from grace, not lose my innocence, do that, live that kind of lifestyle, and come back full circle back to God. I saw that as a kid. And so that now I understand. I understand because it's true. I went through all that stuff. I failed, I lost my innocence, and I have cancer now, but I'm coming back to God. And I've never left him, but he's always been there for me. But I feel like this is all manifesting into my purpose. So. It's been really tough. Like I said, it's been really embarrassing for my family, and they didn't know how to talk to me. They didn't know what to say to me. you know, but they've always loved me and prayed for me. And there was some tough love, I'm not gonna lie, even from my siblings and other family and friends. And like I said, it was tough because, you know, coming back, when I came back from Vegas, I felt shame. I would go in the grocery store, well, aren't you the one that went to Vegas? You know, it was hard, you know, it was like, even for like years, it could be 10, 15 years have passed by. Were you the one? I'm like, well, how about you? Were you in Vegas before? Like, or I'd say, how are you? How am I doing? Great. I have a great job. You know, I've worked with kids for almost 20 years. I've worked with kids with autism. You know, how about the things I'm doing now? You know, you point one finger at me, but what about the other fingers pointing back at you? You know, so the problem is people are quick to judge. They don't know. You know, until you walk in somebody else's shoes, do not judge. You know, but it has been a journey, but my parents and family and friends have been nothing but supportive. It's been tough, but I do see that we're getting closer again, you know, to this whole process. Okay, so yeah, what they did in the surgery, they weren't sure until they did the surgery what they were going to do as far as it having an ileostomy bag or not. So when they did the surgery, they took about a foot of my colon out. And they also did the ileostomy surgery where they took a piece of my small intestines and made a stoma opening in my stomach. And there's a bag that I actually have a sample. Oops. There's a bag that I actually have to wear that I have to change every 3 to 4 days. It's a process, and I don't wish this on anybody, but if it's going to save my life and help me, I'm going to do it. I change it I empty it several times a day, and the nurse comes out twice a week and helps me to, you know, figure out what kind of stuff I need to cut it out and put it on and make it, you know, stay on me 3 to 4 days. And so it's a process. So after I heal and everything, I'll do the 4.5 more months of chemo and then have the surgery to reverse this process. And they told me after the surgery I'm considered now stage 2. So thank you, God. I'm not stage 3 anymore. I'll take that. Stage 2.
Right direction.
Awesome. And I'll be happy when they tell me you're cancer free. And they did tell me there's possibilities within the next 5 years that a whole other cancer can come because of chemo, or this could come back. But I'm thanking God and praising God and hoping that it will never come back. So, and if it does, I'll have it.